folks. While I get everything set up here. Bear with me here, folks. I'm very good at my job, okay? I promise. I promise that. All right, guys. So how's everyone doing here? Glad to have you guys. And welcome in to tonight's RSN stream. We're going to be picking the NFL Playoff games. Bear with me. There might be an echo here for 1 second. All right. Pretty good on that. How's everyone doing here? Glad to have you. And welcome on in. Bear with me here 1 second, folks. So I'm going to be going through each game and giving my predictions and why I think each team is going to win. So how is everyone doing here? So I do want to give my first prediction here. So we're going to start off, well, I guess we'll go in game order. Except I'll leave the Patriots and Chargers for last because I'm actually not going to... Actually, no, I'll do Patriots and Chargers first because I'm not going to pick that game. As a Patriots fan, I don't think it would be fair. So the Patriots and Chargers, for each match, I'm going to break them down. So the Chargers, one of their big issues right now is the injuries on the offensive line is going to be incredibly difficult to overcome for the Chargers. I do think it's possible, but it's certainly not the best scenario for the Chargers. The Patriots, the biggest question with them is the strength of schedule. Even as a Patriots fan, I cannot hide and dodge that. There's a level of concern there about the team and their ability against winning teams. I mean, they only ever played one winning team all year in the Bills, and they went 1-1 against them. So the Patriots are at home, which I do think is a big benefit for them. Being at home in Gillette in January, that is a big daunting task to play, especially for a Southern California team. Again, I'm not going to make a prediction here, but I think both of these teams are solid. As a Patriots fan, I admit the Chargers are a very good team. Herbert, I still have my qualms about Herbert. I think Herbert has choked in the playoffs in the past couple seasons, but we will see if that can shift on him this year. And then, if he goes into Foxborough and gets a big win, then the conversation will change. So with that, we're going to go now in order of the games here. And let's go to the Rams and the Panthers. So a lot of people think that this is a game which is going to be a blowout. Think the Rams are going to win by 1 million. I'm going to say not so fast. And the reason I say not so fast is the Panthers did beat the Rams earlier in the year. So with them beating the Rams earlier in the year at home, they could do it again. It's not impossible. Matthew Stafford's been playing like an MVP most of the year. He had a couple off games towards the end of the year, but he is maybe the best quarterback in the league this season. Bryce Young has really started to evolve his game, started to play better football. He started to actually show why he was the number 1 overall pick over C.J. Stroud, which, granted, I still think Stroud's better, but we'll get to that in a little bit. For the Panthers, their defense has been really good. Their offense still continues to struggle and to find a especially consistent rhythm. Despite Young's improvements, they continue to not wow me, and they continue to not move the needle for me, and that is definitely a little bit of a concern for that. I do think, on the other hand, you have a team like the Rams, which have been consistent all year. I'm going to pick the Rams in that game to win that game. With the Saturday night game, it's the Bears and the Packers. So, bias aside, as I have not been high on Caleb Williams since day one, since he was drafted, I was not very high on Caleb Williams. I did not think Caleb Williams was a quarterback that was going to move the needle for me for the Bears, and I'm not that high on Caleb Williams. I stand by that. I continue to not be overly high on Caleb Williams. Jordan Love is a quarterback I'm still, pretty high on. I think a lot of people hate on Jordan Love a little too much. I think he is probably the better quarterback in that game. I do think in terms of the running game, I think the Bears have the better receiving core in the run game. I do think the Packers have the coaching edge. And defensively, the Packers would have the better defense, but with Mike Parsons out, their defense is taking a bit of a toll. I do, however, think the Packers will win this game, and I do think the Packers are going to win. And the reason I think that more than anything is I just do think they are the more experienced team, and I still think they're better. I still am not sold on the Bears. If they go out there and they prove me wrong, I would love that for them. I'm still not that overly sold on them. I'm not sold on Caleb. I'm not overly sold on Ben Johnson in a lot of ways too. I do think the Packers are the better top-to-bottom team. They are more experienced. They've been there before, and I do think they're the better team. So with that, we go into the game of the week, probably, which would be Jaguars versus Bills. So the past couple of years, I've been very accurate in my AFC predictions. Pretty much beat for beat in every game, I've been accurate. So the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence is hot as a pistol right now. He's playing phenomenal football, and he is a quarterback which is, maybe been the best the past 6 weeks of the season. the Bills, their defense is suspect. And I've said that in the past couple of years. So the Jaguars have the easy edge on defense. Their defense is playing some of the best in the league. They're up there with the Broncos and Texans defense in that division, in the defensive category. And they're at home. Going to Buffalo might be a different story, but I think the Jags, I think Lawrence is playing better than Allen right now. I think that they have the edge in almost every category offensively, except for the running back. But also defensively, I think the Jaguars are just a significantly better team. I'm going to go with the Jags, and I still am not sold on Sean McDermott. I mean, I'm not someone who's very high on just firing coaches all willy-nilly. I was against the Ravens firing John Harbaugh. I think that was a mistake for the team. But I do think Sean McDermott, if they lose this game, it might be time for him to go. So with that, we move on to the Patriots-Chargers game. Eagles-49ers game. As I said, I'm not going to pick that game. I already went through that one. So we got the Eagles and the 49ers in a game, which, again, the big worry for the 49ers is the injuries. They're very hurt. They're very banged up. But they've seemingly overcome that all year. But they have not faced a team like the Eagles in a lot of that run, where the Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champions. And I think a lot of people have the confidence that the Eagles can just flip a switch and get it right. I'm not 100% sold on that, but the Eagles could be the best team in the tournament for the NFC. The NFC, I think, is arguably in a lot of ways more wide open. Again, I feel like the Eagles very well could beat Seattle. I do feel like the Packers could very well. Again, if they beat Seattle, I mean the Rams, Seattle, and Eagles should be the favorites in the NFC in my opinion. But the Eagles, I think there's a lot of hate towards Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts gets way too much hate. I think Jalen Hurts is a damn good quarterback, and I will fight anyone on that. I think Jalen Hurts is a significantly underrated quarterback. I think he's one of those quarterbacks that people have their narrative of what they think of him, and it's not going to matter what he does. They think he is a bad quarterback, so they're not going to change their mind on that. But just Jalen Hurts, is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Brock Purdy is also one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's another one who I think has the same narrative around him. But the injuries of the team, as well as just the Eagles being such a well-oiled machine, I am going to pick the Eagles in that game. I do think they have a better defense. I think the defense is for real. It's just as good as last year, if not the same. I mean, if not, maybe even better, you could argue. I do think that they offensively have taken a step back, especially in the run game with Saquon, and Hurts is not doing the same level on the tush push and all that, but I still feel like they're the better team. I feel like the Eagles should win that game, and I will pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win that game. So with that, in the AFC, we got one more game left. Again, I'm not picking Patriots-Chargers game. As a Patriots fan, I don't feel that I can be looking at that as an unbiased observer. So with that said, we got Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers hosting the Texans. Well, the Texans the past 2 years have upset a team in the wild card round to move on to the divisional round. However, in both of those years, they were at home, so that is a little bit of a different site for them to be on the road here for this playoff matchup. The Steelers, I don't think many people are very high on them. Again, here's my thing with the Steelers. The Steelers are a team I think can win any given week. But I don't have the confidence in Aaron Rodgers to sit there and, 4 or 5 games in a row consistently put up a good game. He had a good game against Baltimore, so we need a good game here, and then he needs a good game 2-3 more times. I don't have confidence in him to put up 5 consistently great games in a row. I just do not think he can do that at this stage of his career. If we're wrong here, we'll see. But I don't know. Right now, I'm not sold on the Pittsburgh Steelers to be able to do that. That being said, the Texans defense is also one of the best in the league. I do think the Houston Texans should win this game and punch their ticket to the divisional round. That would be my picks for this week. I think that those are the best teams across the board in every aspect of the league, and that is what I think. I mean, I think that's a really solid top 8, again, depending on what happens here. I think this has been a surprising season. I think not a lot of people would have had Kansas City out. I think a lot of people would have had Philadelphia probably higher than the 3 seed. I think a lot of people would have had Baltimore in. This is going to be an interesting playoffs. There's not a team that you can point to and say, that is the powerhouse that we have in the past couple of years. Even Buffalo, I think most people point to that and say, that's the only superstar quarterback at this point in the playoffs. Like, superstar, bona fide, great quarterback. But their team's been inconsistent. Their defense has been bad, so I don't think that they're a heavy favorite either. So it's going to be interesting. I'm very interested to see how this will play out, and we will see. With that said, I thank you guys so much for tuning in here. I wanted to do this. I think it's a fun idea and a fun project. So with that, have a good night, folks, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.